What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to recap our third and final preseason game between our Atlanta Falcons and the Cleveland Browns. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys continuing to tune into the channel, continuing to share out my content on all the social media platforms. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter and Instagram, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So in today's video, as I mentioned, I do want to recap our third and final preseason game, which we took on the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns did win the game 19-10. So our Atlanta Falcons did go 0-3 in the preseason under Arthur Smith. This is not a big deal due to preseasons mainly about evaluating the guys for the 53-man roster. So I'm not going to panic over going 0-3 in the preseason. But I do want to talk about in this video the pros and cons, the positives and negatives that I took from this game. The things that stood out to me in this game. The first thing that actually stood out to me in this game was the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line. If you've been tuning into my channel, you know that I'm big on the trench play when it comes to offensive line play and defensive line play. If you're an avid football fan on any level, you know that winning the battle in the trenches is very important in football in general, whether it's peewee football, whether this is high school football, college football, or professional football. Usually the game is won and lost in the trenches. You have to be able to protect the quarterback. You have to be able to open up running lanes for your running backs, and you have to be able to get after the quarterback on defense, and you have to be able to stop the run on defense. Those are paramount in the game of football. And I feel like in this game, our offensive line didn't play well, the offensive line or defensive line. I was really disappointed in the offensive line. I was watching in this game two players in particular, which was Drew Dahlman, the center that we drafted this year, and the right tackle slash guard, Jalen Mayfield, who we drafted as well this year out of Michigan. Those were two guys that I was really watching in this game closely because those two guys were competing for starting roles on this team heading into the regular season. I do believe that Jalen Mayfield still has a chance to solidify himself as the starter for that right guard, or the left guard position. But I do believe at this point, Drew Dahlman, just off of evaluating him over the last couple games in this preseason, I don't believe that Drew Dahlman is ready to be a starter. I do think that Matt Hennessy will be the starter heading into week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles into the regular season. I think at this point, he gives us the best chance to win as the center for this Atlanta Falcons team. But I was really disappointed in both Drew Dahlman and in Jalen Mayfield, even though these guys are rookies and I know that they're still, progressing and, still trying to get used to the speed of the NFL game and get used to the strength of the players in the NFL on the NFL level. But both of those guys were really dominating in this game. I wasn't surprised by that because I talked about in my pregame show or my preview video that the Cleveland Browns are one of the better defensive teams in the league and one of the better overall teams in the league as far as being a young and upcoming team in the NFL. They do have one of the better defensive lines in the league, but they really dominated Drew Dahlman. And they really dominated Jalen Mayfield, and they dominated our second, third string offensive linemen in general in this game. So I wasn't impressed with our offensive line. Good news is we really don't know what to expect heading into week 1 because we haven't seen the starters play all preseason, whether it's on the defensive line or on the offensive line. So we could be in for a surprise heading into week 1 against the Eagles. As far as seeing how well the offensive line is able to protect Matt Ryan and how well they open up holes in the running game for guys like Mike Davis, Quadri Olesen, Cordell Patterson, and the rest of the running backs that we have on this roster. So don't really know what to expect heading into week one because we didn't see any of the starters for the most part on the offensive line play. Now, as far as the defensive line, to me, this was the worst game that they played out of the 3 games in this preseason. They didn't get much pressure on the quarterback. When Baker Mayfield was out there on the field, he pretty much did whatever he wanted to do. Now, I do think that the defensive line did a good job of getting their hands up and trying to bat the football down. We did see an interception caused by a batted football, and I've seen at least 5 passes that were batted down in this game, which was really impressive. And that just goes to show that the coaches are teaching that in practice to our defensive players. So I was really impressed to see, how many times they were able to get their hands in the passing lanes. And that's what you want to see out of your defensive linemen. If you're not able to get home and sack the quarterback, you want to get your hands up in the passing lanes and try to deflect the pass, to cause the pass to be incomplete or cause the pass to get intercepted on the second or third level. So I think they did a solid job on the defensive line, but we didn't do a good job of penetrating the backfield and getting after the quarterback and rattling the quarterback. I think in this game, this was the worst preseason game out of all 3 games that I evaluated as far as how many quarterback pressures I saw in this game. But I think they did a pretty solid job all in all throughout the preseason in the 3 games that they played on the defensive line. We've seen a couple blitz packages in this game by Dean Pease, but the Browns did a good job of eliminating our blitzes by using screen passes and getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands really quickly. So we didn't see a ton of sacks in this game by the defense like we saw in the first 2 games. With that being said, that was pretty much the only criticism I had for the offensive line and defensive line. I just hope that resting the starters was the best move for this team, because right now going into week 1, I don't really know what to expect from both our offensive line or our defensive line. But the second thing that stood out to me in this game was the quarterback play, and that was a positive. I think that Felipe Franks and Josh Rosen, both of those guys played really well in this game. Felipe Franks got the start, and he did really good in this game. He showed progress with not only him still being able to move outside the pocket, but he did a good job of keeping his eyes down the field. He made a nice throw deep down the field to Zacchaeus on a post route, and it was deflected, but it was a really good pass. It hit Zacchaeus in the hands. He just was not able to come down with the catch because he was in double coverage, but it was a pinpoint pass by Felipe Franks down the field, and that was a really positive play in this game. And he also still showed the ability on some of the zone read plays that they ran for him. He was able to get the edge against a lot of the outside linebackers and defensive ends of the Cleveland Browns, and he showed, his wheels again in this game. So I was really impressed to see Felipe Franks continue to progress in his maturation process. Now, a huge surprise in this game to me was the play of Josh Rosen. I do believe that in this game, Josh Rosen solidified himself as the second quarterback on the roster. Josh Rosen showed his veteran experience showed in this game over a guy like Felipe Franks. He did play in the second half. He was able to throw a touchdown in this game. He did a good job of moving around in the pocket. Josh Rosen isn't a running quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback, but he did a good job of maneuvering inside the pocket. So he was able to be mobile enough in the pocket to step up and avoid, oncoming defenders. And he did a good job of throwing the ball down the field accurately in the second and third levels. He did a good job on the touchdown pass where he was under pressure, throwing off of his back leg. He showed off some of his arm strength and some of his pinpoint accuracy where he was able to throw a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. But he really showed in this game why he deserves to be the backup quarterback heading into the regular season. He did show enough to me in this game, even though he was only with the team for about 3 days because we signed him last week, midweek. He showed, even without really knowing the playbook, why he was a first-round draft pick years ago, I believe by the Arizona Cardinals. So I was really impressed by Josh Rosen in this game. I did listen to his press conference after the game, And it sounds like Josh Rosen has really grown up a lot over the last couple years. He sounds really humble to be back in the NFL, back on the field playing. And to me, he did a good job under the bright lights with just a few days under his belt, not really knowing the playbook. He showed why he deserves to be the backup quarterback. And he did a good job of throwing the football accurately. And I was really impressed with his gameplay. And if you just go by, if you just go by the eye test, I think hands down he beat out Felipe Franks in this game. Now, another positive that stood out in this game, we saw a glimpse of Kyle Pitts and why he's so good of a player, why he's such a brilliant player in this game. He only played, I believe, a couple snaps, but he did have a catch where he was able to get like 27 yards on the catch. It was just a quick pass where he basically ran a quick drag route across the formation. Felipe Franks hit him for like a short 5-yard pass, and he was able to take that 5-yard pass and turn it into a 27-yard gain. He showed why he's one of the best, why he can be one of the best young tight ends in the game. He showed why he was that number 4 pick for our Atlanta Falcons. He is a freak of nature, and he made it look easy on that play. I mean, he just caught the ball, turned upfield, and he showed that 4.4 speed where he was able to turn on the jets. And he showed also some strength where it took like 4 or 5 Cleveland Brown players to get him to the ground. So I was really excited by seeing the first snap for Kyle Pitts, the first reception for Kyle Pitts with this Atlanta Falcons team. And I definitely think that Kyle Pitts is going to be a budding star for our Atlanta Falcons for years to come. But I was really impressed with the quick glimpse that we had. It was a Kyle Pitts sighting, and it was basically streaming, all over the internet. On Twitter, it was buzzing. Everybody was showing the highlight of him making that 27-yard catch and run. And I was really impressed with the few snaps that Kyle Pitts got in this game. But I definitely think that Kyle Pitts is going to be a budding star in this league, and he's definitely going to have a huge imprint on this offense heading into week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. But with that being said, those were pretty much the things that stood out to me in this game. The last thing that stood out to me in this game was the running backs. I believe in this game, Quadri Olesen separated himself a little bit from a guy like Caleb Huntley in this game. Quadri Olesen did run the ball really well. So far in the preseason, he's run the ball really well. But Caleb Huntley, to me, in the first 2 games, had a leg up on Quadri Olesen. But I think that Quadri Olesen put all of that to bed in this game. And I think that Quadri Olesen will go into week 1 as possibly the 3rd string running back. I believe the pecking order will be Mike Davis, Cordell Patterson, Quadri Olesen, and then Caleb Huntley. Deontay Foreman also has played well in this preseason as well. But I think he could possibly be a guy that be on the practice squad or possibly cut. But I do think that Quadri Olesen separated himself a little bit from Caleb Huntley, even though I still like Caleb Huntley and do believe that Caleb Huntley, has some upside. I think that Quadri Olesen showed a little bit more in the last 2 games, and especially in this game, Quadri Olesen did a good job of gaining positive yardage. He had a nice play where he bounced it outside on a zone run, and he almost scored a touchdown. He broke it up the left sideline, and he showed some vision on that run. And I was really impressed with not only his vision, but he also showed that he has a little bit more speed than I thought he had as far as straight line speed. So really impressed with the young running backs that we have on the roster. But those were the things that stood out to me in this game. I'm really looking forward to the 53-man roster being cut down. As of tomorrow, we have to cut down to the 53-man roster. But the regular season is upon us, and I'm going to have a lot more coming for you guys. But I was really impressed with these young guys, and I do think we have a pretty solid 53-man roster. But I'm looking forward to week 1 and seeing what Arthur Smith and what Dean Pease, can draw up for this first game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'll have a lot more coming for you guys. But I do appreciate you guys continuing to tune into the channel. If you enjoy my content, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. But with that being said, this be your boy Jew. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace.